Okay. I would like to tell you we're at the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting of June 14th, Planning and Zoning. We're having our first public hearing. But before I do that, I would like to tell you, Ken Stevens, who is our chair, is not here as a member of the commission tonight. He's here as a member of the public. And so our first public hearing is Gauthier, revised application under section 830G.
I don't read the legal notice.
Oh, didn't we do that last time? No?
No, this is
Oh.
brand new. public
Oh,
hearing.
okay, thank you. The Connecticut State Statute of Affordable Housing, 9 units, 6 Cindy Lane, and Beth is going to read the legal notice.
The Bethel Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing on June 14th under section 8-30GH at 7 p.m. Meeting room D of the Municipal Center to receive comments for a revised application of David Gauthier under 8-30G. The proposal is for 9 units to be located at 6 Cindy Lane, map 30, block 67, and lot 28. Please park in the rear of the building to attend this meeting. Public may attend and send comments via regular mail and email at landuseBethelCT.gov. This application can be found under meetings on the Town of Bethel website.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Margus?
Thank you. Good evening. For the record, Neil Marcus, Commonwealth PC 158, Steer Hill Avenue, on behalf of the applicant, and with me tonight, Steve Trinkus, who's our professional engineer. This application that's before you tonight is actually an amendment to the application that was made originally under 8-30G for a 13-unit affordable housing project at 6 Cindy Lane. The commission adopted a resolution of denial, and that was at the April 12th meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission. And according to the statute, which is always looking to figure out a way to develop affordable housing that has some sort of consensus, the applicant was given the opportunity of either appealing the denial or coming back within the time period of the appeal with a proposal to amend the application to address the issues of denial. That's pretty much paraphrasing the statute. So what we did is, and I'd suggest that you have to do the same thing, is go to your resolution of the April 12th meeting and look at the reasons that were given for the denial.
And that's in your packet.
And that, so again, we do not really concede, nor do we have to for purposes of amending the application, that any of these reasons are legitimate. We can ignore that. We don't have to contest them. But what we really want to do first under the statute is see if we can revise the application to meet the specific concerns that were outlined by the commission. So the first numbered paragraph is from the Bethel Health Department, and it has to do with the enclosures for the dumpsters that were proposed on the original plan. Well, we've done away with that completely. What we've done is we've come back and redesigned the plan to actually come up with more conventional housing, so that the units that are now proposed are basically small duplexes, and they're not any really much bigger than the existing single-family homes in the neighborhood. And people who live there, the tenants or the owners, will operate that housing the same way that you would if you were living in your own single-family home. You wouldn't go out and expect somebody to provide a dumpster for you. So most people either put their own container for garbage cans next to their garage, or they put the cans in the garage and they wheel them out when the collection day occurs. So we have addressed issue number one by getting rid of the problem completely. There are no enclosures proposed for the site. The way garbage will be handled like every other residential house in Bethel currently does it with garbage cans and local pickup. So that, there was a lot of 2 or 3 pages in the resolution of denial dealing with that issue. So we've done away with it completely in the amendment to the application. The second reason for denial, number 2, the architecture and layout of the proposed affordable housing development is isolated and segregated with no consideration to the surrounding neighborhoods. Its proposed design does not promote inclusion with the existing neighborhood. Well, Steve, can you put up the design there real quick? We might as well look at it right now. I mean, that's.
Could you put it on the stand, but there,
Sure,
we have to see the board.
I can.
Thank you.
The picture that is on the plan that's
Do you
before
think
you.
you could move that back? So as not to block the screen?
Yeah,
Oh,
Thank you, I'm sorry.
that's right.
you're right, yeah, room.
Well, we can move, you know what, we could move a couple of chairs if we have to.
Okay, Steve?
Yeah. I got it.
There you go, thank you.
Move your chair out of the way.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so the picture that's on the board there is the new design for the units. The new units are designed specifically to meet the criticism or to overcome the criticism of paragraph number 2 in the resolution of denial. I would tell you that you'd be hard pressed to say that that structure is not in keeping with the architectural design of Cindy Lane, which, by the way, with all due respect to Cindy Lane, it was not built with uniform design. It was not built like Toll Brothers would come in to a whole neighborhood. Cindy Lane is just what I'll call conventional period housing of Cape styles, small colonial style. I mean, it would be hard to say that there is a specific genre of housing in Cindy Lane. But what you have are houses of this dimension in bulk. This is a unit that actually mimics the housing that exists in the neighborhood. Each and every new affordable unit now proposed is that plan. It's a duplex, and it's designed to mimic the single family homes in the neighborhood. By doing this, we've overcome the design and location characteristic issues that were raised as reasons for denial. And again, as an aside, none of those have anything to do with health or safety, but again, is an accommodation to the commission in the neighborhood. The development is now going to have a different architectural character. It also is going to be smaller because originally 13 units were proposed and it's been reduced by about 25%. We're down to 9 units. And I'll get more into whether it should be 9 units or 8 units as we make this presentation. So we believe that we have absolutely addressed item number 2, which should be to the satisfaction of the commission. Item number 3, I couldn't quite understand what we were trying to address in item number 3. There were mobile screenshots showing message from property owners. So talking about whether it should be 13 units or not, or less, the fact of the matter is we end up with 9 units. And we do that from a design point of view to locate the units on the site. Again, you see Steve's site plan up above. The units are actually placed on the property in a way, again, to mimic the single family homes in the neighborhood. So item number 3, I think we've addressed, even though I was not really clear on what that grounds was for denial. The percentage of affordable housing was a question or a concern in items of 4 and 5. But the set aside is of course 30%. We'll talk about how we would propose to do that, but with 9 units, the 30% set aside will be 3. So 6 market rate and 3 affordable. But at this point, those were the grounds for the denial, and the plan, as we've outlined originally in our cover letter to Chairman Stevens on April 29th, was to address each and every reason and to modify the plan in accordance with the correction to address those issues. Footprints have been reduced. That was an issue that was raised. Unit count has been reduced. That's an issue that was raised. And most of it had to do with architecture and compatibility with the neighborhood. And as I say, sum total, we don't think any of these really are health or safety issues, but they are community concerns which we addressed as if they were health or safety issues under the statute. So, Steve, can you spend a minute or two just going through the plan in some detail and addressing how it differs from the original plan?
These are just copies that I have up on to look at. Steve Trinkus, professional engineer in Connecticut, representing the applicant. So the existing 3-unit building is here. There's a driveway that comes in on the south side, and the parking's all behind the building. That remains exactly as is. 2 of the units are on the southern end of the site. As each unit has a garage each, we're providing 2 parking spaces, one inside the garage, one outside the garage. So we have 2 spaces per unit. So this one, is set, just to the south of the driveway. The first one coming in, really, it's a set in the back where the lot is wider. So the driveway is a little longer, but again, similar, you have the parking inside the garage and outside. The third new unit, the north end of the site, because again, the shape of the property, we have a driveway that comes into the 2 garage spaces, and then we put the 2 other spaces off to the side of it because we didn't want to put spaces that were in front of the garage that actually would be out in the road right of way. So, while there is, technically 5 curb cuts, this is really just parking for these 2 units. Each unit, the footprint is 26 by 44 feet. It's a single-story building. As you can see, we have, the sample floor plan. So the garage is here. You have the entrance, into the living area. You have the kitchen, and 2 bedrooms. As we're not going to have basements here, the stairway, which is shown here, is going to go away. So the bathroom will actually move to the garage, and therefore you'll have more room for the second bedroom. That would be a modification of the floor plan because we're not going to have basement areas in these. They're going to be slab on grade. So for the existing building, the reason Dave had not done any work on the site is originally we were going to put a second story on it, and that would have changed, the whole dynamic. So, he has paver stones out there. So right now there's a asphalt walkway that comes from the driveway to the 3 units. The asphalt's going to come up. We're going to put in the paver walkway 4 foot wide to all 3 of the entrances. We've also added landscaping in front of this existing building and around the other buildings also. As far as that goes, we're also would agree to, replace or paint the siding on the existing building to be similar to what finish is going to be used on the new units, so that they're compatible from a color palette point of view, whether it's a beige, whether it's an off-white, but whatever color is being used, the existing building will also be painted in a similar fashion to, complement the other buildings, the new buildings, as far as that goes. And that's the changes. If this is acceptable to the board when we do the final engineering of it, as we do have well-drained soils out here, we would have individual Cultec systems, for the roof and driveway drains to infiltrate the water as we had before. Instead of one big unit, we'd have a bunch of smaller ones because there's a lot less impervious cover. And what, the woods here in the southwest corner would remain except for where the building comes in. And, again, we have additional screening out front. The trees back here, which would have come down as part of the parking lot in the original plan, are remaining, as are these trees here. Plus, we've got additional screening, to, put more green on the area. Most of the site, with the exception of the southern end where it's lightly wooded, is already lawn, and that would remain lawn, around the existing units. So that's really a summary of the actual design.
Thanks, Steve. There was some question, again, in conversations that I've had with Beth Cavagna about whether we could reduce this plan from 9 units to 8 units by making the 3-family existing into a 2-family. And I've discussed that with my client, and actually after I discussed it with him, I really thought that it was not a good idea to convert the 3-family to a 2-family. Part of the reason is he's got some longstanding tenants in the 3-family, and he really doesn't want to evict them or throw them out at this time. He's done work on the 3-family on the interior, and if this plan goes through, as Steve has said, he will upgrade the exterior without significantly changing the bulk of that building as was originally proposed. So the building stays pretty much the same in terms of size and bulk. The 3 units there, one of them is apparently occupied by a lady who may be close to her 90s, and there's some other people that are in there at extraordinarily low rents. The 3-family building really is below the requirements for affordable housing right now. And the applicant has no intention of changing that. So we will certainly qualify all 3 of those units as existing affordable housing units. However, given the fact that that there's always an issue of substantially similar units, we're building the 6 new units, and they're going to be a more attractive house, as we can see. They'll all be brand new. And in order to avoid any question that we're discriminating in favor of the current tenants, when the 3-family empties out under normal course, if a vacancy exists and we have a vacancy in the one of the new 6 duplexes, we will make one of those the affordable unit. We would propose 2 of them will be 80% and one of them will be at 60%. So quite honestly, I get the sense that the current, the current 3-family, everybody is probably in a rental equal to a 60% number or less. So we will make that adjustment, but we'll designate in the plan for the start of the project, the 3 existing units, and with a proposal in the plan to swap out a new unit when we can do it without interrupting a tenancy, significantly interrupting a tenancy. So that is the plan. The idea of taking the 3 and making it into 2 is to just take an existing tenant and tell him to go find another place to live. It doesn't appeal to us at all. And I'm not sure that it would appeal to the commission or the neighbors for that matter. To suggest that one of the duplexes really doesn't work as a duplex really doesn't make sense either, because quite honestly, as Steve has suggested in his description, these units are well designed, they are compact, and they are efficient as duplexes. And that's the market that we're really trying to provide housing for. So for all those reasons, we're going to hold the line on the 9 units, even though we gave a lot of consideration and a lot of discussion about trying to get down to 8. We just couldn't see that that accomplished anything, and it created a lot of problems for people other than the applicant, actually. So we're going to ask you to consider that as you consider our numbers. I've seen some of the emails in the opposition to this project, and quite honestly, I don't think that the emails quite reflect what you have before you. And part of the reason is that people have sent in their opposition before they've heard a description of the proposal. That happens all the time. So in terms of the opposition, that has been, there are no health or safety issues that have been raised. And of course, most of the opposition is we don't want the neighborhood to change, which is pretty standard, that people don't like change. Nobody does, or few, I should say nobody does, few people do when it comes to land use. I actually think that the proposal before you now has to be weighed solely against the one that you turned down. And at the end of the day, it's kind of a zero-sum game. It's all or nothing. If under the act, if the amended plan is denied, then the appeal is of the 13 units, which to me, I mean, that's what we do and that's how it's set up. And you might say that doesn't make any sense at all. If you're willing to do this, why would you go back and appeal the 13? But it is sort of an all or nothing decision. And you should keep that in mind because you end up sometimes with what I'll call a somewhat bizarre result, because we've amended, but if the amendment doesn't address the issues, then we're going to determine whether the issues were legitimate from day one, and that is the health and safety issues. So weigh that as you weigh the plan, but I will tell you that the applicant, when we first met after your resolution of denial, we were all sort of gung-ho at that meeting on just taking an appeal. But we had a long discussion about the merits of trying to amend, and we've come up with a plan, which I think honestly is a genuine expression on behalf of the applicant of a desire to work with the commission in the health department and all the other aspects of the resolution of denial. So that's what you have in front of you. We're happy to answer any questions, but we wanted to give you a detailed description of our thought plan and our thinking as to how we got here. And at this point, I'm not sure that we're going to take it beyond this because this is directed specifically at addressing the resolution of denial. So that's what you have. I mean, I think it's at the end of the day, when this is built, which I hope it will be, I think it's actually going to be an improvement to Cindy Lane and not have an adverse impact on design, quality of life, or anything. I think these are, this will be a quality project. And a lot of that has to do with leaving the 3-unit building at its current scale. Again, trying to upgrade the aesthetics will do, but creating these new units at a scale which is spot on with the neighborhood. And that doesn't happen a lot in affordable housing. So I'd encourage you to give it a positive resolution, and we'll answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we will go out to the public. Is there anyone here who would like to speak about this application? Please come forward. Give your name and address, and we'd like to hear what you have to say.
Is this okay?
It's better, can you hear, if they're back there, or should they come up forward?
I would come up a little bit more. I don't
A
know
little
if they
bit more.
can hear you on this Zoom.
How about if I come over here?
Can you hear me, David?
Yeah.
Okay, you're fine.
Okay,
Good evening. My name is Lisa Delori. I live at 22 Cindy Lane. I am 67 years old. I have spent the last 30 years at 22 Cindy Lane. Having just heard the presentation, I was a little bit shocked to hear that this would be an improvement to Cindy Lane. Obviously, I take umbrage with that, and I'll just leave it at that. The homes that are on Cindy Lane are, in fact, ranch homes. There's only one home that is a two-story house. So as the gentleman who preceded me suggested that there was a mix of homes on Cindy Lane, that statement is incorrect. They are all ranch homes. I raised both my son and my daughter on Cindy Lane, and they had the opportunity to ride their bikes, to play basketball, to run in the streets. They had a great childhood. We had parades, we had picnics, block parties. It was awesome. I'm a grandma. I see somebody else has become a grandmother, so congratulations. I want that same thing for my grandchild and my future grandchildren. And I think that's only fair to want that and to be able to have that without the overabundance of vehicles and traffic that this albatross will cause on our streets. It is about the health, safety, and welfare, very much so, contrary to what has been said. In terms of health, I believe there were pictures submitted by one of my neighbors regarding the water backup of the storm drains on Cindy Lane twice over the past month. This was after our storm drains were recently vacuumed out, and the storm drains were unable to sustain the amount of water that came down in regular storms. This is a problem. Water backed up into my neighbor's driveway, into my driveway. Much of the cul-de-sac itself was flooded. So twice in the past month, we have pictures. I challenge the town to fix this before we even consider displacing any soil that might only exacerbate this problem. I'd like also to just touch on the applicant's history here. If I am incorrect on any point, please let me know. I believe the applicant first submitted an application a few years back. It was not under the affordable housing regulation. I don't even know what that application looked like, but it's my understanding that that application was denied. Second, the applicant discovered, if you will, the state regulation for affordable housing and decided to proceed under that regulation to have the opportunity to have housing, have rental income. So that application was amended and it was subsequently denied. And that was, I believe, the letter of April 18th. Now it appears that we have a third application for affordable housing. And in each of these instances, I'm not hearing an awful lot from the applicant about their desire to provide affordable housing to the residents of the town of Bethel. What I hear and what I see as the bigger picture is about someone wanting to put money in their pocket at all costs. I call that greed. I call that trying to make money at the expense of others. And the others happen to be the residents of Cindy Lane. This is not about affordable housing. This is about trying to make money. And it's that simple. Because we've already spoken about health. Safety we have spoken about at length as well, with the overabundance of vehicles that could potentially be on our street. These two-family units, they are 2 bedrooms each. There's the potential with those 6 units, plus the existing 3-bedroom unit. If all of those bedrooms are, if there are adults in all of those bedrooms, we're talking about 30 adults. That could potentially be 30 additional cars on our street. It's a small street, it's a narrow street, it's a dead-end road. Cindy Lane was never, ever created to sustain this type of growth, this type of traffic. We already have problems with vehicles on both sides of the street. We already have problems with people speeding. So there is very much a safety issue here. We also happen to have an autistic child living at the end of the street. That child loves to walk out of her house unbeknownst to what's going on around her and go out and play. That is a safety issue. It was interesting in the last meeting when the commission pointed out to the applicant that the existing building of 3 units would have to be updated, that the applicant indicated that no, that would not be possible, that they had already updated the interior and had absolutely no intentions of updating the exterior. As the gentleman just discussed, they would paint the siding. Well, that's like putting lipstick on a pig, because painting the siding is so inadequate to respond to the existing problems with that building. You have stairs that are practically falling off of the building. You have a unit at the end that has a hole in the door, for, I guess, a pass-through for an animal of sorts. I don't know what it is, but it's obvious and it's unsightly. If the applicant is not interested in updating their existing building to be equal to or better than what they are proposing, then again, I suggest to you, this is not about affordable housing at all. This is about trying to have rental income. Finally, I would just like to read a paragraph from the commission's denial letter. Therefore, based on the acreage of the property and using one of the proposed units' footprints, it is feasible to construct 3 single-family homes that can exist with the existing 3 attached units. This is based on the town of Bethel's affordable housing regulations and plan regarding need. The need is for single-family homes. This is a single-family zone, and the proposed single-family home duplicated as part of this application would be a good addition to fulfilling the needs for diverse affordable housing within the town of Bethel. These are not single-family homes. So the applicant, in my opinion, has not satisfied the recommendations as put forth by the commission. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak?
I'm Sal Esposito. I live at 41 Maple Avenue. Just trying to jam too much in that amount of space. The one that's on the right-hand side, the little unit. Originally, they were going to put a little cake there or something. That's fine. That would go with the, with Cindy Lane. The other 2 monsters that they're trying to put on the other side are ridiculous. You're gonna have too many cars again. They don't look like anything that's back there. You're having way too many cars. There's the one on the right-hand side. How much property is on that piece right there? Anybody know?
I don't. Mr. Trinkus?
Not offhand.
Not offhand? Because originally, the sole owner that built that thing could not put a unit there because there was not enough land. Now, all of a sudden, it's enough for that to be put on that piece of property. It should not be able to do that. Single family house is fine. Anything else, I think you shouldn't shoot it down. It's ridiculous. That's all he wants to do is try to make money.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the room who'd like to address this application? Okay. How about on Zoom?
I'll
David,
give a public service announcement again for anyone who wants to offer public comment. Please have your full name as your Zoom avatar, so that way we can get your spelling correct. For those that have already participated in Zoom, you would simply raise your hand. For those that have not, you would bring your cursor to the reactions icon at the toolbar at the bottom of the Zoom app. Clicking on that brings up an option for you to do what's called raise your hand. That lets us know that you have public comments that you want to offer to the Madam Chair. I'm seeing Nico Jordan there, Kitty.
Excuse me, Kitty, before public speaks,
Oh, sure.
Nancy just wants to note for the record correspondence that you all have in front of you.
Correspondence received by Monique Guzowski, 5 Cindy Lane, Patricia and Jerome Oakes, 16 Cindy Lane, Shelley Wright, 14 Cindy Lane, Chrissy Arditi, 21 Cindy Lane, excuse me, Michelle Kellerman, 19 Cindy Lane, and Sean Murphy, 14 Cindy Lane. And you have those back.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, I'm sorry, who was the person? Who wanted to,
That would be Nico Jordan, Madam Chair.
Nico Jordan?
Yes.
Where, I'm sorry, where are you? I don't know where you are.
Left-hand corner.
Yeah, for
Oh, on top. Oh, okay, yes. Go ahead. Nico, then what is your, give your name and address, please?
Hey folks, yeah, Nico Jordan, 22 Wolf Pits Road, Bethel, Connecticut.
Okay,
I just wanted to speak in favor of the residents of Cindy Lane and just kind of advocate for their safety concerns and whatever.
I'm sorry.
Just to reference some of the illustrations on the dated the 1/11 January 11/22 submission from the applicant, that basically the drawings, the artist renderings of the architectural plans, they, in my opinion, just look like motel, like kind of like some of the worst of like a motel, like Adirondack. I don't have anything too constructive to say. It's just that they don't appeal to me aesthetically at all, like for the region, and they just look like kind of the worst of like 1960s or 1970s, like abandoned motel construction. I can see them as such, in fact, in not too long in the future. That's all really I wanted to say. I'm not sure if I got my point across, but
Oh, that's fine, thank you.
thanks a lot.
Anyone else, David?
I'm not seeing anyone else at this time, Madam Chair.
Okay. Would you want to address any?
Just a briefly,
Comments
if I
that were
can,
made?
thank you. Again, for the record, Neil Marcus, and I'm going to ask Steve to answer a question. The first speaker this evening in opposition talked about water
Lisa
problems.
Delora? Yeah.
Yeah, water problems in the storm drains. Now, it's interesting because clearly this applicant has not contributed to those water problems. So whatever's there are existing conditions, and under our statutes, an individual property owner is not charged with correcting or improving conditions that have not been created by a specific use of the property that relates to those conditions. So it sounds like the problem is in public works in the town of Bethel. But the question for Steve Trinkus is how much additional drainage will be contributed to the catch basins that seem to be in trouble?
Steve Trinkus for the record. Actually, none, for a couple of reasons. One, because of the sandy and gravel soils, the water is going to infiltrate into the groundwater on the site. Additionally, on the original plan and this plan, any overflow provision from an underground gallery system is going to tie into the existing drainage pipe, which goes through this property from the south to the north and not be discharged to any drains on Cindy Lane. Actually, there's only one catch basin on the east side of Cindy Lane that comes into this system, and along the rest of the frontage, there's not one catch basin. So our water, any that doesn't infiltrate, is tied into this system, which heads all the way out towards Maple Avenue and ultimately down to where Toll Brothers built. It does not go on the road itself. But when we designed the infiltration practices here, per the DEP manual, you take 50% of the observed infiltration rate as a factor of safety. So if you get the real infiltration rate, all of that runoff is going to go in there. This is extremely coarse sand and gravel. It has an infiltration rate of around 20 feet per day, which is very quick. So when you consider, even a 25-year rainfall event is 6 inches of rain in 24 hours, if I've got an infiltration rate of 20 inches per hour, the math is simple, the water's in the ground. And then follows the groundwater table generally to the north, because that's the general lay of the land. But there's nothing being discharged to Cindy Lane. Obviously, you'll have the little bit of driveway entrances, but that's about 20 foot of a, by a 15-foot driveway that's going out there. Everything else is going to go into the ground for infiltration.
Steve, also the speaker, Ms. Lori, indicated that these were obviously health issues, these drainage problems. Can you at all tie a health issue created by your drainage plan that you just
There
described?
wouldn't be from this drainage plan at all. There may be a pre-existing issue on Cindy Lane. A lot of, I would suspect Bethel drains, Danbury drains, a lot of the older cities in this area, those drains go back to the 1940s when most of this area was farmland. And now it's single family homes or more. But if it's currently flooding, it's an issue in those storm drainage systems. Maybe there's something clogged in the line. I'll give you a good example. I had a client in Westport where when the permit was given for this guy to build the house, and he actually bought it from a builder, but they put a catch basin at the cul-de-sac tied to an existing drain that went out to a wetland. The water was backing up into his house. And we finally got the town to allow the client to replace the pipe. It was dug up, and the first 24 feet of a 15-inch concrete pipe was full of tree roots on the town property. So even before this house was built, that pipe had problems. But if you imagine a 15-inch pipe, 20-foot long, it was completely full of roots. That's why no water would get out. And it may be a case further down the road, that would be something for DPW to camera to see if there are blockages in it. But if it's not working today, our water is not going into that system. It's going to go into the ground or into this, any excess beyond, the infiltration capacity, which is going to be very, very little, is going to go into this system and not go on to Cindy Lane.
Thank you. The other comments about the fact that the neighborhood will change from the days when the speaker's children played in the streets and there was less traffic than there is today. Again, I think I addressed that originally. Very few people like to see change. When I was a kid, I grew up next to what was known as the Great Danbury Fair. A lot of you know it's a mall these days. When we were kids, we used to play on Bacchus Avenue and in the parking lots of the fair. I mean, I can't imagine my kids ever doing that because it's now a mall. Life does change, and I appreciate that. The construction of these affordable housing units will have no significant traffic impact. They're just not, they're not large enough, and they're not, the number is not significant to create any significant traffic issues. If you look at what has been approved for affordable housing or even multiple family housing in the neighborhoods around the area that we're currently talking about, I don't think you can identify, we certainly haven't, any significant police activity related to accidents from those recently constructed units. This is really, we're talking 9 units, 3 exist. the 6 new units are an insignificant contribution to traffic. So we would suggest that those comments should be put in perspective when you consider the plan that's before you. And Mr. Esposito actually said something that I thought was complimentary. He said, if these were single-family houses, it might be fine. Well, I appreciate that because, yeah, they would work as single families. But the fact of the matter is that the Affordable Housing Act was created by the Connecticut State Legislature, not to necessarily develop single-family housing, but to develop what they call housing opportunities. And housing opportunities are developed by basically ignoring or modifying existing zoning density requirements. That's the whole reason that 8-30G was passed back in the legislature in 1989. This is the purpose of affordable housing that's on the board before you. And the fact that the site plan works and then said, but you should only have single family housing there is discriminatory. And that's what the act is intended to avoid, discrimination in housing opportunities, so that people who qualify for affordable housing should qualify to live on Cindy Lane. I mean, that's what the statute was created for. So with all due respect, I appreciate the fact that Mr. Esposito says, yeah, the site plan could work, just you can't have extra people living there. Well, that's not the health or safety issues or the intention of creating affordable housing in the first place. So I would take all of those comments from the public this evening in a certain perspective that people just don't want to see change. But I'm going to ask you, as we close, to focus on the old plan, your reasons for denial, whether the new plan addresses some or all of them, and whether at the end of the day, the new plan is far better than the old plan. Because as I say, ultimately, a judge will have to weigh the old plan and not the new plan if we cannot amend it in a manner to get the matter approved, the application approved. So we appreciate your time, unless you have any more questions. Steve?
Just
I
two
do.
comments.
I have a question,
Well,
please.
they do get another round of questions.
Okay, yeah, I just actually a couple comments if I
Go right
may.
ahead.
My clients only purchased the property 2 years before we started this process,
There's no
so they never made any prior applications. There was a 3-lot subdivision of this parcel years ago that I think was before the 3-family house was built. There was actually a 3-lot subdivision laid out on this plan, approved, filed in the land records. My client said that the whole towards the 1 unit that was by the owner, it's a cat door for their cat to go in and out. So it's not something they did, it's a cat door. The steps are in good shape. The discoloring is from rust from the rails, which obviously is going to be, fixed. Again, we were going to take this apart and put a second story on it, so we weren't going to do anything at that time. But, that stuff will all be fixed when we know what direction it's going. So just wanted to put that in the record.
Thank you.
Okay, so you may have the second opportunity to speak if you care to.
I do, I have
Well, please come up.
questions. CRD 21 Cindy Lane. So you just said, with the proposed units, there will not be increased traffic. So we went from originally 13 one-bedroom units to now we're talking 15 bedrooms. Correct? Because you figure 2 units each, 2 bedrooms, so 4 bedrooms per unit plus this original 3 that are still there. Is my math wrong?
No.
So we now are going up in bedrooms, and because it is not, there's laws on 1-bedroom units where there can only be a certain amount of adults. That's not the case when you add bedrooms. So we could potentially have 2 adults per bedroom. So that would be 30 cars. And then, and I get everybody has guests but I mean, I know anybody at the end of the street, as soon as there's one car waiting for another car to pull out of their driveway, this, you cannot move on this street. And that is health and safety, because I am the one that has a severely autistic child. I am the one that is on the phone with Bethel PD multiple times a week, a month, because of cars speeding. That is health and safety. That is safety. My child's van cannot get down the street to pick my daughter up for school. So does my kid, because she has special needs and cannot get to the end of the street, does she not deserve an education? Because let's just keep throwing people at the end of the street. My children are just as important as everybody else's. This has nothing to do with affordable housing. It has to do with, it is not zoned for this. You know, you say it looks just like the other units. No, or the other houses on the street. It doesn't, because none of our houses are multifamily. I'm done. I have other points in my emails and pictures and everything, but it's
Yes, sir,
unacceptable.
you may get another chance.
Statement to the
But you have to do your name and address again, please.
Sal Esposito, 41 Maple Avenue. Statement to the young man with the red shirt there.
Mr. Trinkus.
You said the water is gonna go into that pipe,
No, not directly. What's gonna happen?
whatever, some of the water may go into that pipe.
Well,
Let him
You-
finish and then you can answer.
You said some of the water comes to the pipe. You ever been down at the end of where the water comes out at the end there?
yes, I have, as a matter of fact,
Yeah,
because years
and the
ago,
water sometimes comes over the road now when it rains. So now, possibility, more water is gonna be going into that pipe, possibility. Statement to the other gentleman here,
Mr.
you said
Moynihan.
talking about the three single family houses.
Mhm.
You're only talking about single family houses. Less amount of people, less amount of cars. And three houses. And they will also be paying taxes because they may own the house. Paying taxes to the town for the school system. Do renters end up paying the taxes for the school system? Not the owner of the building. Not the owner of the building. I'm talking about the individuals that would be in there and if they have kids. Are they paying taxes to the town of Bethel for school system? No, us taxpayers will be. And I rest my case on that.
Sure, right, Mr. Moore.
Lisa Delory, 22 Cindy Lane. I would like to reemphasize the point that the residents of Cindy Lane are not against affordable housing by any means. We are not against development of this parcel. That, we are not dug in on that. I really want to clarify this point. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else on video who would like to add anything at this point for the last chance?
Madam Chair, I'm seeing a Nico Jordan.
Nico Jordan. Okay, Nico.
Hey, everybody. Yeah, I just wanted to clarify.
Nico, please.
Can you hear me?
Name and address, please.
Oh, Nico Jordan, 22 Wolf Pits Road, Bethel.
Thank you.
At the risk of sounding like too negative and not constructive as I may have before, I just wanted to reiterate my kind of an echo and advocacy of the residents of Cindy Lane, and to thank the commission for, hearing them, because they've been more involved in this conversation than I have, obviously, and they're closer to it. And then also to kind of say to the developer, and I think to echo what the last public speaker just said, was that, like, we're not against development, right? Like, especially affordable housing development in Bethel at all. Like, we just really need it to be, like, we want the development to be a positive. We want development propositions, applications that we can get behind. that we can support, right? Like that we're proud of, that we're proud to say like, oh, this is awesome. Like this is Bethel. This is beautiful. This is going to enrich the community. This is going to increase safety. This is going to, make people want to live here and spend money here, pay taxes here. So that's just the general comment that I wanted to make that's more positive. And it's definitely geared into the direction of the developer. I don't know your gentlemen's names, but it's really important. And I think the town of Bethel and all of our residents want to see positive development, and development of these properties or redevelopment that are kind of laying fallow and in disrepair or poorly developed to begin with in the 60s, 70s and before, or 80s or whenever, old buildings, flat roofs, whatever, things that don't fit the colonial country, historic town that Bethel is, right? And it's really important that we get that back, in my opinion. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Okay. Now, which one of you would like to go first?
You want us to address the water pipe question?
Yeah, if I may again. Steve Trinkus for the record. The underground detention systems, especially in sand and gravel soils, infiltration is the primary way water leaves the system. There is always an overflow provision to adjust for active God events, and that's what would be connected to the existing drainage system on this site. One of the key aspects, and I think I probably mentioned this on other applications for the board, if you look at historical rainfall records, you're going to find that out of an average of about 50 storm events a year, 75 to 85% are 1 inch or less in 24 hours. And that's actual weather data. I have weather data from Westcon for 3 years. That 76% of the storms over 3 years were 1/2 inch or less in 24 hours. 85% were 1 inch or less. The town's regulations, including newly adopted stormwater regulations, require, I think, detention of 25 or 50, Beth. 50. 50-year storm is roughly under the NOAA 14 data, about 7 inches of rain. If you look at historical rainfall records, you're not going to find 7-inch rainstorms. A rainstorm is measured midnight to midnight. Now you could have a week of rain with 30 inches of rain, but you're going to have 7 rainfall events in that 30 inches. So each rainfall event is a 24-hour period. And when you look at what the data actually says, it's small, frequent rainfall events. Now, what we do get is we get 3 inches in 4 hours. You get a summer downpour. But with the soils on the site, that water from the units here or even the original plant will fully infiltrate. We're taking a factor of safety in the design. And even with that, it would fully infiltrate. So if you take the full infiltration rate, that water is never reaching probably more than a foot deep in the underground system, and it's never going to overflow to that pipe. But there is an overflow provision in the event something happens, but it's only above a certain design storm. So I think the prior application, we were designing to a 25-year event. This would be designed to the new regulations, and it's an overflow provision, but that doesn't mean water is going out into it. Years and years ago, probably in the early 90s, I think when Hem Koenig was your town engineer, he had asked several engineers to bid on this design of the pipe going out through there. Now, I did not get that bid, but I would suspect that there's a large drainage area, that's upstream of this going through there. It would not be my choice in a design to put twin pipes in here, which I think is what we have. We have a 24-inch and a 30-inch pipe. With a large watershed, this should be a box culvert, like is what's under Carol Luzzi's, to convey all that water. But pipe systems do have limited capacity, and you might want to go back and look at the historical design records for this system as to what the basis was. It may not have been designed properly, and that's why there's issues at the outlet end. And yes, I have seen the water there. It does come ripping out without a doubt, but that water is also coming from way south of us. I mean, on our site, while there's a pair of basins here, they're in the middle of the lawn. There's nothing draining into them. So it's just, it's a bending point in the line. But there's a lot of water that does come from the upstream watershed through here. And that's what's causing the issue with the outlet end. But our design here, you have to have a complete clogging of the infiltration system to have any discharge coming into this system. That's how good the soils are on this particular site. They're not always that good, but in this case they are. They're extremely coarse sand and gravel, which is evident by really the whole Maple Avenue area, which was obviously mined years ago, just like Nazaro's where Toll Brothers was built. So, so water, it will be connected as an overflow provision, but you do not expect any water to go into that.
Thank you. Just one comment on traffic. I went back while the speakers were speaking and reread the resolution of denial. And quite honestly, we didn't take any attempts at addressing traffic because traffic was not a reason for denial of this application in April. What came to mind here is if you look at the second to last page of the resolution of denial, there's a suggestion to the applicant. It's phrased at, it becomes incumbent on the commission to present an alternative compatible design that would improve the existing conditions of the property, which we think that this design does, maintain the existing architectural features of the surrounding area. And as Steve Trick has pointed out, we're talking about lowering the height of structures and not increasing the height of three-family to be more consistent with the surrounding area. And three, reduce the proposed footprints of the proposed two larger structures and utilize the footprint of the smaller structure. And that's kind of what we've done. We've reduced footprints and we've tried to mimic the smaller structure that was originally proposed. So the putting again the amendment into its statutory framework, that's what we're trying to do. Had the commission raised an issue of traffic, which I don't think exists with this proposal, because it's first of all, traffic is based on logic, and when we do traffic reports, we don't assume that if you have two bedrooms in a two-bedroom unit that you're going to have four adults, each one with cars. That's just not how housing is occupied generally. We make assumptions on occupancy that come from the Institute of Traffic Engineers. Because quite honestly, if you made that assumption that the two-bedroom units here would have four adult drivers, then if you went down Cindy Lane, you'd have to calculate all the houses on the number of bedrooms, put two adults in each bedroom, some of them are 3 and 4 bedroom houses, and you'd come out with a number of traffic users on the road, which would be somewhat bizarre. It would be way out of what actually exists and what the experts use for designing traffic standards. So we go by the standard, and we expect that a two-bedroom unit will be occupied by, again, the state standard is probably about 1.5 people.
A
And
two-bedroom unit?
yeah, because I mean, basically, you got to remember, these are not designed for large families. These are designed for what we used to say, the newlywed or the nearly dead. But in reality, it is designed for a housing market of people coming in or going out. And those units are oftentimes smaller than a single family home for existence, for example. So when we look at multiple family units and we determine average occupancy, there are standards that are published, and it's an odd number. It's 1.5 or 1 3/4 people because it's based on an average. But the idea that you'd have 4 adults residing in a 2-bedroom duplex of this size would be an extraordinary use, not consistent with housing in this general area. I mean, I'm talking about Bethel, I'm talking about Danbury, Brookfield, and the whole surrounding area. That's not how housing units are generally occupied. So we design and plan for what is basically average conditions based on statistical norms. And traffic here is not created by exaggerating the use of this property. It's not appropriate.
If I may just
Go ahead,
add
Steve.
that, when we did 91 Worcester Street for Tim Draper,
Yes.
besides the renovations of the existing buildings there was a series of 2-bedroom units there. I discussed this with Tim. In the 2-bedroom units, he has 2 adults and 1 kid. So basically it's a starter house, for lack of a better term. So you generally might have 2 drivers. We've got 2 cars and we have 4 spaces. I can tell you, I have a single family house. I have 4 licensed drivers and 2 cars.
Yeah. So that's our.
Don't come to my bar. I'll blow you out of the water.
And you don't want to go to my garage either, but that's another story. But the fact of the matter is that we think that the design that's before you does not create any significant traffic issues. I will agree that when you add new housing to any street, additional housing, single family, multifamily, whatever it is, you're gonna add a couple of more cars to the street. You're gonna, and by the way, I don't think you add a lot of traffic because the garbage man's already on the street. The fuel delivery guy is already on the street. The postman is already on the street. They just make another stop. You don't add a lot of traffic to an existing neighborhood by adding a couple of new residences. So I don't think that Cindy Lane is going to be any different. We don't anticipate that we're going to generate real traffic from this project. Based on that, we will rest with our application unless you have any more questions.
No, thank you. Okay, commission comments. Where shall we start? Ken, you want to start?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Go right ahead.
The first one is this rendering here, comparing it to your interior diagram. The rendering actually, unless I'm looking at it wrong, shows a little bit of depth on the front. It's not uniform straight across like your,
That's true.
I think the roof line, it has the broken roof lines, but they're all more or less straight apart. I think it looks like they're stepping out, but they're not.
yeah, I was gonna say to the left and the right, it looks like you're stepping back a foot or two.
I think it's just the perspective of the rendering itself.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, because the floor plan is not showing.
Floor plan,
that.
okay.
It's not showing them
It's just
stepping
the
out.
way-
There are architectural features to break up what would be a pretty wide roof across the front of that. So
Yeah, because it's 50 odd feet, so.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure I'm
yeah,
looking the right way.
yeah, it'd be 52 feet, which if you didn't have the 2 gable ends, would
Right.
be a pretty wide straight roof. So it's there as an architectural, breakup of the roof line.
The next thing is more of a general comment, and I can't say it's helpful, but the existing 3-unit building has been a real issue for everyone. Residents, us on the board, myself. And I'm just thinking that a lot more specific could be done. It's our chance to correct this, which never should have been built in the first place. And, those, some nice AZAC steps, get rid of those ugly concrete things. Plantings look good, better plantings. I'm just saying, take it to the next level would help. That's really all I gotta say.
Linda?
First of all, I do like the new design of those buildings. But setting that aside, the concerns of the neighbors are all very justified. But just taking this as a project all by itself, like in its own little universe, my understanding of affordable housing was that those units could not be separated, segregated, or in any way differentiated from the other units.
Right.
Well, in this case, according to you, right now, those three existing units are actually affordable units. And those are gonna remain affordable units until possibly a time that things change with the present tenants.
That's
So how does this fit in with the letter of the law that they cannot be segregated from other units?
The word is not segregated. The word of the statute was substantially similar. So that you could actually put all of your affordable units in one building as long as they were substantially similar to the market rate ones. There's nothing in the statute says anything about segregation. It's what the size and quality of the construction is, that you can't, and by the way, the quality of the construction, you can't differentiate slightly. You can put, higher end finishes in one unit as opposed to another. But you can't say an affordable 2-bedroom unit is going to be 800 square feet, but an affordable market rate unit's going to be 1,200 square feet. That's what you can't do. That's the discrimination, substantially similar. But as I said, because we already have a condition where we don't want to disturb people, as we will change one of the affordable units to the new duplexes, and then we'll have 2 affordables in the existing 3-family and 1 in the new, because
That's not gonna be at the time of this initial application.
it'll be as soon as the units empty out. We're not gonna empty, we're not gonna move people out. But, that's not our intention. But the consideration is they need to be substantially similar.
And definitely the facade needs to be brought into the same character.
That's Ken's comment, that's a good comment.
Can I speak in reference to that for a minute, Kitty?
I think you do.
Since we're on that 3-unit building. It's the first that I've heard, which is great, that the property owner considers those 3 units, and you also consider those 3 units as affordable units.
Oh, the rents.
The rents are very low or whatever, they're existing tenants, they've been there for a long time. But when I go back to, and I should have brought my laptop, I can't. So I go back to the original application and just randomly brought up a site plan from January of this year. And during that whole application process, that particular building was gonna have a second floor put on.
Yeah.
And from the understanding I had, they were gonna use the existing foundation to build a 6-unit piece on that.
Correct, they're just gonna go to the
Okay.
6th floor.
So what about the poor people that were living there? What were you gonna do with them?
But they would have been relocated.
Right, so what's the difference? It's a wonderful idea to keep it this way now for those poor people that live there now. But I think that what we were trying to do in our conversations was to keep it consistent. And you know how I
Yeah.
feel about that.
No, but I'm saying, that's what you're bringing up is absolutely correct. As we re-examined how to modify the project, one of the things was, let's just leave that alone. And that's what we did. We left it alone. We left it alone for a purpose.
This project has been all over the place
Oh, yeah.
since the first day it started, as far as what do we want, what do we want to do,
Yep.
so on and so forth from the property owner themselves. I'll finish. I'll just
Yeah,
say what
but
I
I
have to
understand what
say.
you're
We'll
saying,
be
yeah.
done with this. I think that the effort that the applicant has made to make the changes that they have done by the proposals that they have in front of the board now are to be commended to a degree for the amount of effort that they put into that. My issue, as I've stated before, is the consistency of the project overall. And I think the 3 units that are there, it is very important to maintain the consistency throughout the project and convert them to a 2-unit. 2 units being consistent with what is being proposed. Now, at the last hearing, or the last time we all spoke, the applicant said that they have made improvements to the property, improvements to this 3-unit property that they have. And they spent a lot of money doing work on the inside, remodeling or upgrades and things of that nature. I did go back to the building file. Are you all right?
Yes.
Are you
I'm
sure?
giving her-
No,
I'm giving
it's
her
just
a
stop
woman.
Hold on.
She's choking to death and I'm talking right over.
Disturb you.
Can you tell we worked together for 20 years?
Shut up.
Anyways, going back to what I was trying to say was that, and I've lost my train of thought.
Consistency.
Consistency, thank you. But anyways, I do believe that the project overall, one of the benefits of doing it as a 2-family consistently with what was being proposed by the applicant on the other units is gonna make the project better. It's gonna be less discriminating. You're gonna have uniformity throughout the property. And I think that's what you're looking for. And I strongly feel that with the neighbors and what they had to say about the 3-unit, everybody's talking about this 3-unit building. Well, I think one of the concerns, the neighbors may not agree with me and what my thoughts are pertaining to the model that's proposed to be used as part of this development. But I do think that improvements to the 3-unit should be made to make it a 2-family, consistent with what is being proposed. And keeping in mind that if we aren't able to work something out along those lines, without the rest of the commission saying, you guys say what you think,
No.
and these people will not be happy with me. But this is a compromise portion of the application that we're in right now. And I think it's important to try to bring it to close if we can. And if we can't bring it to close, then we do go to court. I just wanted to speak
Thank you. No.
specifically to the
No,
3-unit
thank you.
and the act.
Well,
So I just had a question. So just to make sure that I'm clear, the 3 duplexes are all market rate
To start with,
to start with, and then, so what's the plan? So
yeah, let me.
I didn't
Yeah,
quite follow
yeah.
that.
Right now, the 1-bedroom unit in the 3-unit building was renovated by Dave and Val. You know, the upgraded finishes, flooring, etc. The other 2 units were occupied, so they have not done those, the 2-bedroom ones. So they have to wait for their tenants to either pass away or move out, and those units will be renovated. So initially, until those tenants vacate the premises, as the rentals are all below the affordable rate, they're gonna stay there. Once one of the 2 bedrooms becomes vacant here, and it could be a year, it could be a couple years, we have a very elderly person, you know. Then again, people have lived to after 100, so there's no thing. But once somebody vacates that, then assuming the other 6 units are built, then one of the new units will be deemed an 80% affordable 2-bedroom. There'll be
Then you have to wait for somebody to vacate that.
Well,
well,
these will be built, so
They're vacant.
they'll be vacant
they'd
to
be
start with.
vacant,
Yeah,
so, and then, so then we would have, you know, the 1-bedroom and 80% affordable. We'd have a 60% 2-bedroom in the existing building, a market rate 2-bedroom in the existing building, and an 80% affordable in a new building. That would be the plan when those can all be renovated.
Just to confuse you a little bit more, let me elaborate. So that theoretically, there could be a point in time where 4 tenants in this project qualify as affordable. Because there may be 3 in there, but we're gonna make a new one over here, but one of the 3 will convert to market rate at some point. So it's just a transition. We don't want to disturb the people that are there.
so
But
why,
it's not a
We're gonna
phased
disturb them
construction.
with the original application.
That's now, yes, but now we're not going to, because we're not gonna, again, Beth, somewhat of a financial issue. Why empty out your stream of income if you're giving up 3 units that you're not gonna, you know, this all balances out. So.
but
you
it
make
doesn't,
concessions.
Neil.
It does.
You know, why not take one of the units you're building
Yes,
and put one of the people from in there, in those units.
Possibly.
And then take down that eyesore, that tremendous thing, and put another nice building in there.
That's not the project. So if that's. the
It's
project,
not, but,
Then we're gonna have 13 units. And it'll be different. It won't be an eyesore. It'll be a new
well, they will be,
looking
they still are.
6-unit building.
Okay, I'm gonna let them, are you finished? I'm sorry, Rob. Did you-
But I hope we answered your transition issue.
Go right ahead.
Yes, but it's not a phased construction at all in the proposal. It's proposed to all be built at the same time.
Yes.
I'll tell you, it's unlikely to get built in the current economic conditions because of the cost of the materials. It's so expensive. I'll give you a good example. I bought 3 pieces of trim for around a
Oh,
door
yeah.
in the
It's-
window.
yeah,
3 8-foot pieces,
Yeah.
$91.
yeah,
Oh,
I
it's-
don't doubt it.
You know, so.
But that isn't our
Yeah,
concern,
but no,
money isn't
no,
our
but I'm just
concern.
saying, so economically, until the lumber prices and construction costs come down, you know, nothing's gonna get built on the new units. It's simply unaffordable. The per square foot cost, even for a market rate
Right.
unit, would be excessive.
Okay.
So,
Doug, did you have anything?
Couple things. I would echo some of the things that have been said. I think there has been a lot of work done here. It's far better than what it was. And again, I think overall use of the site is better than it was. That building is ugly, and I was gonna echo that you know, slap paint on anything, but it's still ugly. It's a new color, but it's ugly. So I don't think it's fitting in character. I would also add that I have a personal safety concern looking at this. All these parking, these new, the 4 curb cuts, they're all back out spots, and I think a car backing out of that violates 2 curbs, right? It violates the near curb as you're passing through, and you back out across the street to the far curb. So you can say, oh, the kids are gonna walk on this side of the street. Well, that's not gonna help. The car's gonna be backing up to the far side of the street. So personally, I have a big concern for safety in that regard. And it's a dozen cars or it's 30 cars, whatever it is. It takes 1 car and 1 kid to make a problem. And you're gonna be, there's 4 new curb cuts and everyone's gonna be backing out of this. So I have a real big safety concern there.
well, let me, if I may just address it, I do have on the back building, I do have a background area there, so the cars can go. I can add a background area for the building next to that. The one in the north end, unfortunately, because of the shape of the property, I can't there. That's a width of the length of a car.
Mhm.
You know, and if you look at,
We can fix
you know,
it.
many other homes, you know, that's the way people are backing out currently.
That's my personal concern. And I would also point out when the proposal was being read, it was taken out of context. That you read points 1, 2, and 3 and didn't finish the paragraph. And so with the record to reflect that paragraph was cut short.
Paragraph 3.
Because you read points 1, 2, and 3 in the closing of the
Oh, yeah, no.
denial.
That's correct.
And you chose to not read the recommendation paragraph. You stopped where you
Yeah.
Right.
Because we're not
where
building
you
single-
felt fit.
This isn't a single family project, so it doesn't apply.
Right.
Sure.
Well,
It was part of the recommendation. So
And part of the commission's suggestion as of
Was in
if
there.
this were ever to come to a settlement prior to going to court. And so the applicant has come back with this,
The compromise.
So do we need to read
That's
that?
what
into
it
the-
is.
Do we need to read that into the record or can we understand that that
no,
was?
it's part of the record already.
it's part of the record already. Okay,
Oh,
let's go to, let's see, Bob Leonard.
Neil, there is already a dumpster on the property for the 3.
Yes, it's about a 4x5 one on wheels.
That's gonna stay or that's gonna go away?
That would likely stay. I think we'd put a little pad for it because right now it's on the lawn.
Okay,
Yes.
and Neil, you're saying 30% of all the buildings in the project will be affordable?
Correct.
You eventually could wind up with the 3 affordables being the 1 bedrooms.
No, we're not planning. We could, but we're not planning that. We're planning to make it 2 bedroom, 1 bed. We're planning on 2 2s and 1 1.
Okay. Okay, I got that clear now. Thank you.
You want?
Okay, Paul?
Back to the upgrades that were done on the existing 3-unit. What year were those upgrades done, and were those all up to code, the current standards? Make sure, like, you know, was it done properly? Permits were pulled and all that, or was this
It
just some
was,
backyard work done by the owners?
it was all cosmetic inside, Paul, within the past 2 years. It was tiling, it was new cabinets, which are not, you know, do not require building inspections.
Not in the kitchen?
There was no electrical done.
Not according to my client, no. You know, they
fixture.
they updated, you know, the interior fixture wise
Yeah.
and with appearances, and that was what the work was done. No walls removed. So
Wasn't there talk about one of the units had a small bedroom, so a wall was removed to make it a room? I've heard that multiple
yeah,
times.
it might have been, I'd have to check with my client on that.
So that just raises a huge red flag. If we're ready to cut corners now, and we're gonna quadruple the size of the project or the property that we're gonna maintain and take care of. And I was there for the site walk in January. I saw the maintenance that was going on a few days after a snowstorm. Serious safety concerns. Also, the project at the end of the road, I don't believe Cindy Lane has sidewalks.
No, or curbs.
So now all the kids at the end of the street that are walking to the bus every day, because the bus does not come down the street, are going to be walking through this project. So adding 12 vehicles possibly is a big deal. It would be less of a big deal if it was the end of the street and not everybody was walking past it every morning. Like one of the commissioners said, I don't know who it was, it only takes one car and one kid to have an issue. I don't know if that's in your plans or in your cards to add a sidewalk in front of your unit. That would probably help a lot. Again, I still think that 3 single families would do very nice in that in that area. But that's just my thoughts. I am concerned with discriminating against current and future tenants that are going to be living in what everyone says is an eyesore. I agree. You know, they build these beautiful places with garages. I don't know how a 2-bedroom with a garage is equal to a 2-bedroom without a garage. Not in my book, but again, so I don't like the project as presented. I don't like it in any form that it's been presented since day one. I was really hopeful it was going to come in as 3 single families and we could just move on and get you guys your approval. That's it. I have nothing else to add. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I took a few things, you talked about the existing building. I too was there in January. And it wasn't just a little, that the steps were a little, had some rust on them. The railings were almost falling apart. The stairs that are in front of those buildings there, I looked at them. Most of the earth was away from it. And a lot of the concrete was eaten away. The walkway, which was there, was a, asphalt walkway. And it looked like, you would take a roller coaster ride on it. And what Paul said to me screams, these buildings are not properly cared for. They were not properly cared for. So to me, that is a massive health and safety issue. I'm looking at this. I was very impressed when I saw the picture of the building that you were going to put up. I thought you were going to put 3 of these on the property, not leave that trailer park looking thing in the middle. It's a tremendous eyesore. To jam 2 of these into this one little corner here. I would like to know how much, what is the exact property size of this property where you're putting these 2 buildings here? And we need to know, the other gentleman wanted to know the size where the first one is.
The entire property is 0.9 acres.
The entire property.
It's
But we're talking
30
pieces.
38,000, almost 39,000 square feet.
But we're talking pieces. I asked you 3 times for you to show me green space.
We provided that on the original application. I gave you a colored rendering that showed all the green space on the
But not
13
for
unit plan.
this.
On this one, everything that is not shown as unit, driveway, the existing building, existing driveway is gonna be
Okay.
green.
But the back of the eyesore building, this is what.
The
I call it.
parking lot
That,
is
that's
here.
all,
It's-
that's all blacktop.
Yeah, but there's green space to the west and to the north of it and
But
between.
it's along the back. It's maybe a foot along the
Well,
back.
And it's all green from the front of this building to the road line.
You mean the front lawn?
I mean, it's
I'm
not a
being
play, we're not
very
building a
serious.
playground,
I'm being
Kitty.
very-
We're not building a playground.
No,
We're-
but you're
we're
building a
having
place
green
where
space.
people are going to live.
Yeah, and there is
want to
plenty
go
of space
outside.
to live. There is plenty of space to live on this or any other one.
Yeah.
If
Now
you look at other 8-3Gs I've done, look at 18 Taylor,
Oh, I
49
know
Taylor
that
Avenue,
one.
91
I know that
Worcester,
well.
okay?
Believe me, I know that one very well.
And there's, everybody
There's
is
no
happy
green
in
space
those
there.
environments.
Yeah, there's nothing.
But-
Not, I realize that.
So, but there's
Okay,
more
now
green
you
space
talk-
here than the prior plan.
I'm sorry. You talk about this property having tremendous drainage because of the soil. of it. Does that drainage and that property, not property, the soil, is that all of Cindy Lane is like that?
I didn't dig holes beyond this property. I suspect that portions of it may be. I know Maple Avenue was pretty much all sand and gravel. 'Cause
Yeah,
that
but
was
see,
all
but
mined
Maple
out.
Avenue, let's be serious, Maple Avenue floods constantly. And this pipe that you're adding up to Maple Avenue is just gonna continue to be part of the problem.
But that water is passing through our site. Our
No,
site is,
yeah.
our site is at the current
But
time
aren't you talking
Our-
about, you're using some of that pipe there?
as an overflow provision because
Right.
it's there. However, at the current time, these two basins on the property are in the lawn. There is nothing
Right.
draining to them. All the water is coming from the south, from Milwaukee Avenue and points that way, coming through this pipe. This site does not
So
even
that pipe
contribute
goes,
to it.
goes which
It-
direction?
It heads from the south to the north.
It goes up to Maple.
It goes up to Maple.
Right.
It goes up towards Toll Brothers.
Right, so in over excess, that pipe will be taking water to Maple Avenue for it to be flooded again.
We,
Okay.
we will meet the stormwater regulations of the town of Bethel, which is applicable to any project, whether it's this one or even a single family
Now,
house.
have you submitted this plan to Wright Brothers as yet?
To who?
Wright Brother,
Right.
yes, our engineers.
No, we have not
Oh, wait, we have a
until
town engineer
you
now.
have a town
Is our
engineer
town
now.
engineer looking at this yet?
This, because it
No.
has not been designed. This is a.
No.
That wasn't part of this agreement or part of this
okay.
discussion. It was to bring in the concept.
Yeah.
You were willing to work with the
Okay.
concept that would go forward.
Yeah,
And
by the
then
way,
the engineering
with the
would be
reception
done.
we're getting, the comments, and we'll try to address some of them. But if there's no interest in this, we're not gonna pursue it. I mean, we're not gonna spend a lot of money on engineering. But this is an idea to try to address, this whole flooding thing was not a grounds for denial. I mean, the flooding on Maple Avenue was not an issue before, and we didn't think it was an issue now, but, so we're not gonna address it.
Well, we did talk about it.
But-
We did talk about it.
Yeah,
you
but it
know?
wasn't
I know we
grounds for
did.
denial.
But Wright Pierce signed off on the engineering design of the original project.
For the 13 units, so this doesn't
13.
change, this is less. So, again, you gotta put it in perspective, I think, it's what we're asking. We're trying to accommodate the recommendations of statute.
Steve, what percentage of impervious services is reduced by this project as opposed to the original one?
I don't have the exact number, Bob. It is less, I can tell you that, but I don't have a specific number at this time. I'd have to sit down, but just go through it.
Oh, that would be a good idea.
We can do that.
Hey, Beth, can we, if we wanted to, could we approve 3 single-family homes?
What? I don't understand what you're trying to say.
I'm just throwing it out there as a possible alternative.
3 single-family homes?
Yeah. As opposed to 3 duplexes.
What do you mean, asking
The
the
applicant-
applicant?
The applicant is before you now,
Yes. Rather,
With- a conceptual plan.
right,
And what you would have to do at this point is tell the applicant
that's what we
you
like.
would prefer to see 3 single-family homes.
True.
I think that's what Mr. Shanley said, and I think that's what Mr. Parson has said. And I think,
That was our recommendation when we
Right.
denied it.
Yeah, and by the way, I can tell you that from my discussions, we're not gonna do that. We're gonna appeal the 13 units that were denied.
Oh, you
We're
mean the
gonna,
motels?
we're gonna build this one here if it can get approved.
That's the crazy plan or the not so crazy plan?
No, the motel plan.
I just want to make sure I have it in my notes,
The original,
using the owner's words.
the original plan, it was the subject of the resolution of denial.
Okay.
Yeah, that plan would be appealed if we can't come up with an amendment that addresses your concerns. And I'm not sure we can. So, but we'll try. I mean, we've put a good faith effort. And if we can't, we can't. But,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Beth, before we
Not building legal
do any
things.
votes, I don't know if it's to be tonight or if we'll continue to the next meeting. Is there a chance we could find out to make sure any work that was possibly done on the existing building was done up to snuff and done correctly and to the letter of the law?
That's the building inspector.
I can ask the building official.
Yeah, that's all. I mean, again, I've heard about walls moving and stuff, and I just want to trying to get of their building methods.
Okay, Paul, I can tell you, I looked in the building file for the
Mhm.
property, and I didn't find any permits for it.
Okay. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. If a wall was built, moved, altered, you would need a permit?
I would have to check with the building official to get you the correct legal answer.
Okay, just curious.
I'm not gonna speak for it. I'll have him
Yeah.
speak for himself. All right?
All right, I have nothing else. Thank you.
Is there anything else you want to say, Mr.?
No, a couple of your comments are design issues on the plan that we'll try to address.
Okay.
Okay,
Because again, issues like backup spaces, if we can add, Steve said, if we can add another backup turnaround area for one of the units, we'll do it. There's no reason not to. We'll look at issues involving the aesthetics of the three family, that we'll look at. And, you know, there were a couple other issues that you asked us to look at, and we'll do that. But at this point, we're not, I don't think, going to significantly change the density in the proposal of the style of units that we're talking about, the 3 duplexes in the existing 3 family.
But you still will take it under consideration,
Yeah.
Neil, in your discussions with the
Absolutely. No,
applicant.
and I know my client was listening in, and hopefully he's still on there. So
yes,
we'll talk about it.
All right,
okay, then we'll
continue. Why don't we-
continue this, table this until our next meeting.
Okay.
we'll continue it?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
This was helpful.
What did I do? for the agenda? I'm sorry?
We're not building a playground. Only kidding.
Listen, I'm Dick Shannon's over here. Come on, let's go.
Can we move the administrative part of the meeting to later in the meeting and keep going forward with people that are the applicants that are
Can we
here this
just-
evening?
Can I just see people?
Just
Okay.
sit people,
Okay.
absolutely.
We're gonna open our business meeting, and I'm going to sit Doug for Ken Parsons. I'm going to sit Rob for Rich Tibbetts, and I'm going to sit
Someone stating for me?
Linda, no.
Yeah, I thought, perhaps for Ken Stevens there, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I said.
No, you
Oh,
said.
okay.
Okay, no.
We know who you meant.
See, I was thinking of you, Ken. I'm
Yes,
terribly
we know who
sorry.
you meant.
Do a timeout, it's all
Right,
right.
thank you so
Okay,
much.
so Doug for Ken Stevens, Rob for Rich Tibbetts. That it?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's all right. Yep, I think that was it. Okay, so go ahead, Beth.
I have the,
Where are we?
I have the kitty curse.
Work session?
I've misplaced my agenda.
Here.
Oh, never mind. Work session,
Okay, so.
126, 124 Greenwood
And
Avenue.
then I have the address numbers wrong, but that is English Drug. Shri is here and his partners.
Yes.
They wanted to have a further discussion with you in regards to parking
Good.
and unit counts. This is
before I leave, I want to speak in favor of his application.
Thank you very much.
He's my pharmacist. Take
I was
good
just
care of
gonna say.
Mine
that.
too, huh?
him. Thank you. Good night, all.
This is for 140 Greenwood Avenue and 146. 146, I apologize. I did the agenda. I messed it up.
140 and 146.
Gotcha. Would you like to
Tree,
stand up,
it's your floor.
introduce yourselves? Come on
I guess
up.
I'll go first.
Please do.
Chris Posnell, BBS Design, 17 Buckford Lane, New Milford. We were hired by Mr. Pupuri to do a feasibility study for the English drug and the bank that's adjoining to it, to see what kind of, if we could do some apartments above. And we kind of went back and forth with that a little bit. We, showed like an original schematic blocked out, how many units we can fit. We also, I believe, Dynas was hired, Martel Engineering was hired to do a feasibility
Oh,
study.
Dennis Rebecca.
Yep, for the parking and, their site's feasibility, so. I measured the building actually last week, do the footprint, to see what we can work with. The best I can come up with is a total of 16 units on 2 stories above the existing footprint. So I was able to actually crop up something very quick today that I just gave back some of the plans that this unfortunately is the only copy I was able to make.
Sorry, put a copy over there on the second floor.
So I have another small one here.
Oh, we can do this one,
Okay.
okay.
So it's basically 2 identical floors on top of the existing. And we have.
Greenwood Avenue.
Greenwood is actually up front here.
Up front.
So obviously, we're gonna do a study on the elevational work to make it look character specific.
One bedroom.
Yeah, they're all 1 bedrooms except 2 in the
Oh.
middle, which are 2
Well,
bedrooms.
here's 2,
Yep, those are 2
and
because
these
they
are
have,
2.
because they have exterior walls for egress.
So the ones on the front and back.
Correct, but only on this side of the building. This side, they're all 1 bedroom.
Oh, so the one over the bank is one bedroom.
Correct, yes.
And this is the same footprint as Sarah Cronin. This is not
Correct.
pumping out. Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. So again, the 2 floors are identical and we provided egress on both sides.
Of course. I'm sorry, where did they came?
So yeah, I was able to make two units per floor, a 2-bedroom because they have the exterior walls for
Right.
egress for windows, obviously. So, and I believe my client is also gonna talk to you about building next door.
Is this the overhang on the?
That is a
bank?
drive-through, yes,
Okay,
that's
got it.
correct. That's the canopy of the bank.
Got it.
Mhm.
You wanted to give your name and address?
Shri Popuri, 140 Greenwood Avenue. So originally, when we did the feasibility study, my plan was to build above bank and the pharmacy, and also above the Verizon and the dance studio. The feasibility studies came up like 16 units here and 12 units above Verizon.
Mhm.
And since we discussed with Beth and as per the parking and density, like the 28 units is not possible. So we came up with, based on parking calculations, we came up with 18 units. Since Chris came up with only 16 units as per the plan for the first building, I'm also requesting right above the Jacqueline, there is an existing structure already.
There's vacant space above Jacqueline that uses storage right now.
Uses storage.
At one point in time, it was an apartment at one point in
Oh,
time,
I think yeah.
many years ago.
Currently
Uh-huh.
using the Jacqueline as a just a paper goods storage.
Okay,
And I'm requesting 16 units over 2 floors above bank and the pharmacy. And then the existing structure to remodel to 2 units.
Okay, so that's not in this, no,
That's not part of this
it's
proposal.
not part of this. So it wouldn't have to be because it's already existing, right? Yes, no?
Proposed in this plan
I'm
is
sorry.
six, I'm sorry.
Who are you?
David Vieira, 8 Wagon Road, Bethel, Connecticut.
I'm sorry, your name again?
David Vieira,
Thank you, David.
8 Wagon Road, Bethel, Connecticut. So the proposed right now is 16 units above M&T Bank that you have on the table now, M&T Bank and English Apothecary. The existing building in Jacqueline's, he would request 2 more units in an existing space already there. So we'd be 2 additional units.
So that would that be part of this application or would that just
It
go
would have
to
to be for
the
zoning,
building
yes.
department?
It would have to be for zoning because it's a total of 18 units and then the building department. It would be the 16 new units,
Mhm.
the new building of the new units, and then the 2 additional for Jacqueline.
But the 2 additionals already exist, so.
The space exists, the apartments do not exist.
It would have to be retrofitted to make it work within the existing space, like provide egress, its own egress and, retrofit the space that's already there above the restaurant, yes, but the space is already there.
I used to do work for Ed English and I remember there was a couple of apartments up there.
That's the one.
Those are the ones?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
okay, the stairs that go back there?
Yeah.
Okay.
So entrance and exit, it already exists.
The restaurant is using it for the storage right now, so we would have to designate and dedicate the exit and egress to those units alone.
Mhm.
Because right now they're using it. So we would have to retrofit some
So
of
you have to
the,
do some other outside.
somewhat, yeah, in the back, yeah.
Right. So would it be part of this application though?
Well, my question is it gonna meet the 25% reduction rule in parking?
That's a diner.
But originally when we,
Because I have this based on 12 units. And we give you a 25% reduction of 17 spaces. And then-
when you gave us this, there was.
Right.
We had additional parking, it was gonna
Additional parking
include the back.
To 18 units. Because we did, we counted the parking spaces. And then there's some clarification, we came up with 18 units.
He was gonna add an additional 5 spaces in the back also.
So that you're gonna count,
79 spaces to go.
you're gonna do 79 and put in the 5 spaces behind in the back. Right, I have that.
So with the 79 spaces with the included,
We can't do the parking here at the meeting. We've got too much going on tonight with that. I was basing everything on 16 units. We're gonna have 2 more units. The commission, what you need to do this evening is to listen to the gentleman go over his parking and his comfort level with whatever he wants to propose. Because what your original decision was 12
For
units.
12, right?
And that's why you were here tonight, Sheree. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
so based on adding the few more parking spaces will be a total of 79 parking spaces. And the conversation with that, we came up with based on the calculation with some variance, 18 units originally, but because Chris cannot get the 18 units in both the pharmacy and the bank, because it's an existing, right about the Jacqueline is an existing structure right now.
Right.
We just had to renovate it, add egress and all to get that additional 2. Originally, my plan was to do 16 units here and 12 units above Verizon.
Right.
But since only, I mean, based on the last conversation, was because only 18 was at least the number we can start with. That's been stuff to save the construction cost of having 2 buildings. I decided to only pursue with the bank and the pharmacy, not touching the Verizon building. But in terms of parking, based on our kinds of business, we Jacqueline closes at 6, at 3, pharmacy closes at 7. We have entrances both front and back. Pharmacy, they just come, drop the prescription, and you guys, most of your customers, so you guys know. So in terms of like a dance studio, they're open only 2-3 days a week,
Mhm.
just evening, few hours evening. And I think all the board members came to the pharmacy parking lot to see different times and different days
Yes, we did.
to see, and it's not an issue. And also compared to and compared, there's a lot of public park, people park, come and park. I never, I just don't care. I see that everybody has customers, so.
Mhm.
So even with the other people coming and parking there, there's never a parking issue.
Mhm.
And the apartments, the existing 6 apartments, they go early morning to work and then come back in the evening. By the time they come home, all the businesses are closed.
Yeah.
And obviously, because I pretty much work there 6 days a week, my thing is I'm not going to put like a lot of apartments, and I want to make it look like a neighborhood.
Fine.
So,
So basically what you're doing is the apartments that are there, you're just making it more existing, what's already there. So,
I just want to make it look like a neighborhood, and and take good solutions.
yeah. Bob or Paul, do you have anything you want to say? Bob?
I'm good.
That's good. Paul?
I'm good at now. I feel like, yeah, I'm good. Nothing.
Okay. Down here, guys?
I'm okay.
Yep, conceptually fine. I think, obviously aesthetics of the proposal are paramount on this basis. It's the gateway to the town, really.
So at this stage, we're kind of doing everything preliminary, feasibility, see what we can do and see how the commission feels about it. And based upon that, we're gonna delve into doing elevational work and
Do more.
yeah,
And come back with the full.
yeah.
Yeah,
Of course.
So
Good.
as I think I mentioned the last thing, I think it's perfectly in fitting with the transit oriented development
Exactly.
theory.
Beth, I'm sorry. One thing, that sketch they came in with, is there any chance to scan that in? So us that are home can look at it?
Yeah, and they will send it to me electronically.
Okay.
And then we can forward it to you, but basically what it is just showing the interiors at this point.
Mhm.
Okay, they're interiors,
Yeah,
there's
just
no
floor plan.
exteriors.
Yeah, I'm just, it's, I like to visualize things.
Lay of land.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all. It's tough to start visualizing something without seeing it. But,
Absolutely,
Yeah.
I agree.
Excellent.
all right, cool. Thank you.
Okay. So we're good.
So you're good?
So do we
Yeah.
have a consensus
So you have a
Consensus is
consensus?
to go forward, everyone?
for them to move forward
Yes.
with the application?
Please, yes.
Make it pretty.
You too, right, Bob, Paul, yes?
Make it
Yes,
really
they said
pretty.
yes.
Yeah, sure.
We're good. Thank you.
Start working with Melissa, Chris.
Well, no, there's a lot of work to do. There's
Okay,
a lot to.
I see Mike sitting behind you, we appreciate you very
Yeah.
much, but I'm not used to this. It's 9 o'clock.
I know.
We're not used to this, none of us are, we're so used to
I didn't
this
get home
Zoom
last night
thing.
until 10, so
I know. What, excuse me?
I didn't get home last night until 10.
Hey, I remember Dennis Reardon stopped long meetings after, I forget what one it was.
No,
Yeah.
what you guys don't understand
Well,
is that because of this, we're losing people, like solo engineers. Because none of the young guys.
You don't want
wanna
to
do
come back
this.
with us?
Well, no,
They don't wanna
there's-
do this anymore.
There's nobody going
There's
to.
nobody coming up the ranks.
Nobody's
what
coming
else?
up
Is that
that wants to
really?
do night meetings.
Wow.
No,
Everybody wants to do them on Zoom?
they don't, no.
No,
A
they
lot of
just
guys
don't
are
wanna do it.
retiring.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They just don't wanna deal with it. They find it too hard or too complicated or whatever.
Wow,
But
that's
anyways.
incredible.
Okay, so she's
Okay.
walking away knowing the number of units you can have.
Right,
And you're
yes.
good for this evening.
Thank you so much.
Okay, have a good night.
Thank you.
So we can do our business part next.
Right.
No, you're
No,
gonna.
no,
do-
no, no, we're gonna do
No,
both,
you're
yeah.
gonna take care of Mike.
Yeah.
17 Whitney Road.
Yeah. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, the Saunders. Yeah, I looked at the wrong one. I'm terribly sorry. I meant, thank you, good night.
Okay, so tonight the application is
TOD overlay site plan,
for
30
17
units.
Whitney Road.
Saunders, yeah, 17 Whitney Road, thanks.
Tonight the application's on your docket to be accepted. with a very minimal presentation,
Okay.
because Mike, we will be setting a public.
Yeah,
hearing.
no, I know. If you just want me to, I'll just try to keep it really brief and,
It's up to you. It's your time.
yeah, just to kind of give an
Just real
introduction.
brief.
For the record, I'm Mike Mizuko, professional engineer. My office is in Danbury, representing the applicant on this proposal for a 1.77 acre site. It's 17 Whitney Road. It's right at the end of Whitney before it turns into, let's forget that's other. Yes. There's a survey map. It's currently developed as a contractor's yard. There's an existing metal building where Mr. Saunders ran his construction company out of. And it's relatively flat in the area of the building. It slopes in a easterly direction, and you have Simpog Brook here. There was a Lomar done for the floodplain adjustment. And there is a wetland associated. We did go through wetlands already. It's been reviewed by peers, so there's been a lot of upfront stuff that was done as part of the wetlands application, while Chris Busnell was working through some issues with the building design. So the proposal is, it's in the TOD overlay zone, and it's proposed to put in a single, and I'll go into all this stuff when the public hearing is in play. But let me just get to the site plan. But it's a single building with 31 bedroom units. It's set back off of the corner of Whitney, off the frontage of the road. And it's served by water and sewer. We have plenty of parking. I actually initially started with 32 units. I think there was just a miscalculation maybe on my part. We went to the sewer commission. They granted us the third allocation for the 32 one-bedroom units, but we only have 30 because when the final design was done, Chris only came up with the
Oh, what's
30.
the building? Is there that?
This is a recreation area.
Oh.
Yeah, just, that was one of the things we worked out with Beth
You
was,
mean like a green space?
well, just like a little, it's
Oh
a
my
very
God,
flat.
a green space.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean,
Before you ask.
so, yeah, and you have additional green space down here too, as is all kind of lawn right now.
Thank you,
Up
thank
to the
you.
wetlands line, so yeah, I mean, it's, we looked at several iterations with layout. We started to look at two different buildings. One up by the road. We felt that even though the TOD suggests that, we just felt that the size of the building would have been too overpowering for the two houses that are on either side. They're more smaller single family residences. So putting it back seemed to make a lot of sense. So, yeah, that's the gist of it. Obviously we have stormwater management. As I said, it went through Wright Pierce. Went through, I think, two letters with them, and they finally basically were okay with just about all of our responses. So in that regard, we're pretty far along, and I'll turn it over to Chris, and he can just have you take a quick look at his
On our record, Chris Busnell.
design for the
Thanks,
building.
Mike. Chris Busnell, BBS Design again. I'm not sure, have you looked at this at all?
No.
The original iteration? Because there was something presented to Beth and Melissa. And it was a not completely, but totally different design. They were not happy with the height of the building and some of the
remember,
roof
yes,
lines.
that's
and
good.
So we redesigned the entire building to make it look smaller. These are the floor plans I'm gonna put up.
How big is each apartment?
It's about 800 square feet.
Okay.
It's good size.
Oh, yeah, one bedroom apartment,
Yeah,
that's not bad.
one bedroom. Basically, all the floors are the same. There's an elevator in the building.
Yes.
There's also stairwell on each side of the building for egress. It's gonna be fully sprinkled.
Oh, they all have balconies?
They all have balconies or patios except 3 units.
Why?
Because of the main entry took away.
Oh, okay.
So we weren't able to, use it like these units. Actual balconies are tied, but
Okay.
out of the 30, only 3 don't have it, so.
July 14th.
This is the side that wasn't there should be. Because we had hip roofs and it was a full 3rd story, so we made it look like 2.5 by unshed dormers. So you can see how the side is. I made this side entry look a little more traditional. It's very nice, classical colonial, very simple, but yet attractive. So on both sides, it looks the same. The side elevations, the back's a little different. Those are the colors, but we can always change them. But I'll give you an idea too of what this may look in 3D. Oh, you put that away, Mike?
Oh, I did, sorry.
That's okay.
Put it on the chairs. On the chairs, because we're
Here, I'll
close
hold-
enough.
Yeah,
Oh,
sometimes they don't stay well, but I.
Are we, to the commission members on the call, this will all be put upload.
Yep.
This
Yeah,
will be
why don't you show
uploaded.
it? Face the
This-
camera so they can see it. Can you see it, guys?
That would be kind of frontal and this would be.
That picture's in the Zoom or in the,
It's in the drive.
in the drive.
Yeah, and this would be more the 3D.
Looks good.
So again, with the colors, we can always change them, but.
Yeah, but it's not gray and beige. Oh, God, I'm excited.
Right.
I can't look at this having green.
So.
It's not gray and beige. I love it.
I actually like the colors. They kind of break it up.
Yes,
That's just what Chris said right
Yeah.
at the beginning of the meeting.
I'm serious.
Yeah, I like
love
that.
More
I
like
know,
a home, not an office building.
well, like,
And-
I remember when they did Barclay Commons over on Haystown and Danbury,
Yes.
they did that, and it just, I don't know, it just really looked good.
It
when they
did.
broke up
There's,
the
the
colors.
sides of the building were a big concern because there were 3 stories. So we
Right.
definitely tried to, shrink
Soften
them
it.
down and soften that by bringing the roof down, making it look like it's gonna have story. And as you can see, the
Much more attractive.
balconies, we have jogs, we have,
Yeah.
recessed areas. The main entry is defined with a little bit of stone veneer and some
Mhm.
metal roofing.
Right.
And, again, we took 4 feet off the height on the roof also. So
Right.
we definitely brought it down quite a
Right.
bit. And,
No,
And that was all based on Alyssa's original comments and some of
Mhm.
your concerns.
a couple
excellent.
other quick points, and I'll go over a public hearing again, but as Mike said, 30 units, 1 bedroom, 3-story building, fully sprinkled. You asked me about the patios and balconies, except 3 units, they all have them. We have the elevator. Couple of things I'm gonna bring up at the hearing too, is I believe 20% have to be affordable, correct?
Yes.
So we have 6 designated units anywhere in the building. They're all
Not all come together.
they're all fitted to be whatever, whoever wants it, 6 units will be affordable. And also the plans are designed that all the units meet accessibility. So in other words, we can have a type A or type B accessible unit in any unit. It could be fitted at any time, because the blocking is gonna be in the walls for the bars and all that,
Mhm.
but the clearances meet all the codes.
Good.
It's really well built, well designed.
Thank you,
Yeah.
appreciate that.
I mean, it's something that actually meets the code for people, what we're looking for. With worth, oh
88.
my God,
88.
thank you.
88. Yeah.
But a building that does that. We haven't had one yet.
So
Disagree.
that's a very quick intro. I'm sure at the hearing, we're gonna talk about it some more, but
No.
hopefully you get a warm welcome. Wish I had more
So-
cars in the parking, lot,
July 14th.
but they're all at work.
Where do I
No
buy that
worries.
blue one? That blue
I
Camaro?
That's
know.
a 57
Yeah,
Chevy.
Classic, some classic auto.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
So,
I'd like
right.
to make a motion for a public hearing for Saunders 17 Whitney Road, TOD overlay site plan, 30 units for July 14. I'd like to send it out to all the different entities in Bethel where they would have to look it over. And there we go.
Second that.
A second?
Did you need a second?
Thank you very much. Okay.
Bastille Day.
I'm sorry, did Bob say something?
Bastille Day.
Oh, Bastille Day, there you go.
My daughter's birthday.
Today's Flag Day, that'll be Bastille Day. Excellent. Okay, so
Back to the.
we're going to do the minutes now.
Did you vote on it? I'm sorry. I didn't-
Oh, I'm
Yeah, they
sorry.
did.
So can I,
Yeah, no, we
You wanna
didn't,
go
no, we
back to the
didn't vote
minutes
on
and
it.
invoices?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstained, whatever. Yes,
just want
okay.
a question about the notices for the public hearing.
100 feet. 100 feet, and you send them.
I said, okay. All right, will you send out an email, just making sure the time, confirming the time?
To who?
Or it's gonna be just to me.
Oh, to you?
Yeah, just to me to say, yeah, it's July 14th, it's at 7 o'clock in this room or wherever. Just so when I make sure I put it on the notice for public hearing that that's correct. All right.
Oh, can we have can we have a site walk for this property? Yes, I'd like to.
You want a site walk?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
Yeah, is that okay, guys?
Sure.
When do you want to do a site walk?
Yeah,
Why don't we wait to do the sidewalk until we get into the public hearing?
you want to wait for the public hearing first?
Yeah, let's get the full application in front of us and then go for the walk.
Okay. Okay, so,
All right,
all right,
why
we'll
don't we do that?
we'll take care of that night. Okay.
All right, very good, thank you.
Okay,
So,
so we're
thank
all
you so
good.
much.
Thank you. Excellent.
Ever seen inside that garage? It's beautiful.
It's absolutely gorgeous.
Which one is?
In that garage that's on that site now.
Oh, no, I
It's
haven't.
full of
Mac.
stored Mack trucks.
Yeah.
Oh, is it really? Oh, no, I've never.
You're gonna be-
Okay, so.
Huh?
you're gonna be-
what did I do with my- I keep putting my glasses around my neck so I can't find them.
Okay, well, thank you.
Okay, so I would like to
All right, good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you, everyone. Good night. See you
go
soon.
back to the beginning of our
Thank you.
business meeting. I'd like to refer to the minutes of 5/24/22. Has everyone had a chance to look at them?
Yes.
Yes, and Beth knows I emailed her immediately as soon as I got them.
Okay, so
Was there a miscommunication? Because the way I read the minutes was that we approved, or we gave our thumbs up to the selectmen for those bike trails.
oh, that's us to this part, right? We can do that under discussion, okay?
We did that 24.
What's
Why
that?
We did the 824 for the
Right.
bike trails.
Right.
Okay, then I misunderstood, because I thought we were just voting to create open space. I think Kitty and I specifically talked about, we were concerned about them building sheds or something out there with the bike trails.
Yeah, we did talk about that, yes.
Yeah, so when I read the minutes saying that we were giving the selectmen the thumbs up with the bike trails, I was a little concerned.
Well, did we, what I would do is I would amend. Do you have your minutes in front of you, Nancy?
I don't have mine. I'm sorry. I left mine on my desk. Do you have your minutes with you?
I can pull them up on the.
Part of the minutes with me.
Wow, quick.
Some of it is
Grab some.
overwritten,
Oh. Oh, wait a minute.
but I've got the part about the
Just tell
town
me what you
hall.
want them amended.
Okay, where it says 824, the motion for 824
Yeah,
in the minutes.
Yep.
It says motion to approve a positive.
Send a positive.
Does it mention my memo, the date of my memo in regards to the 824?
I'm pulling it up right now, Beth.
If it mentions the date of the memo, you're covered. If it doesn't,
that's
then you're
fine.
not covered.
That's what I was looking for. I thought it was in there.
I thought it was in there.
Well, that's why I'm asking the
Is it in
question,
there,
but I
Beth?
don't have a, I
I'm
don't
not
have the
seeing
minutes in front of me, so I can't help you. This phone is so hard to find things on. I've been trying all night.
Town Hall property.
I'm looking through them right now. Give me just a
I
second.
don't see it. Well, apparently, we can go, no, go the other way. Can I,
Terre Haute property, town of Bethel.
no, it's not in here, Beth, your letter.
So
Yeah.
mention of the date of my memo.
No,
No.
there's no date.
All right, then I would amend the minutes to reflect the date of the memo by the town planner
Okay.
in regards to the above, and that will cover everything that you have concerns about, Paul.
Yeah,
Yep.
we did.
Okay,
Okay.
is that helpful?
Yeah, I want it to stay open space. I'm not saying that I don't want it to be open space.
No, right.
But I'm leaning towards keeping it completely open space. My concern with the bike trails is you give these people permission to build, I think it's 5 miles of bike trails. They're gonna think that they own that side of the mountain. And that's just my only concern is to see exactly what they want to do. What I'm sure there's some sort of bridges or something they're going to build out there, which goes backwards from open space. Open space to me is
Why they would,
nature, let it go.
And you will see that when they get to that point.
And that's fine. And that was my understanding when we voted on it a couple weeks ago. Just I was when I saw the minutes, I was like, all right, either I misunderstood or something was lost in translation. So I'm glad we're able to rectify that.
Okay.
So what are the next steps for the commission as far as?
We have to have.
We're waiting to hear back from the Board of Selectmen on our recommendation to make the property open space.
Okay.
Right. But adding Beth's memo to
Adding the
that
memo to the
covers
minutes.
everything. Okay, so can we have a motion to accept the amended minutes?
I'll make a motion to accept the amended minutes.
Okay, can I have a second?
Second.
Discussion.
All discussion, go ahead.
Maybe we ought to get a copy of that to the Board of Selectmen so that they are well aware of it, number one. And Paul is correct, because I remember when New England Archers was down there, and Paul remembered because he was in the Boy Scouts at the time.
I still have the medals.
They have, they wound up putting, containers down there and everything else to store their equipment,
Yeah, that's right.
which, this is something you gotta,
What we sent
be aware of going in and control it from the beginning.
Yeah.
Right.
We do the minutes tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
No, yeah, that's a good point, Bob. You're right.
Thank you, Bob.
Very good. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion passes. Okay, now we have an invoice here for, hold on, $811.60.
That's the news times.
It's for the News Times, yes?
I got Doug
Okay, Doug,
and a second.
can I have a second for Doug? Motion?
I'll
Hello?
second that.
Are these expenditures reimbursed by the developers or
No,
coming out of our budget?
it's on our budget.
Yeah.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Okay. So Gutierrez was tabled.
We're continuing the
So we're
hearing, so there's
continuing
no
that, so
discussion.
that's okay. Okay, planners report?
Road acceptance, real quick. Road acceptance, there's a process for a road to become a public road. Gabriella Court is off a country way. It's a dead end road. It's to become a public road. Process is, I get the request, I send it to Public Works. And the Public Works says yes. Public Works says yes. You guys say, oh, okay, we can accept this road. You have to make a recommendation to the Board of Selectmen to accept Gabriella Court as a public road per the recommendation of the Public Works Director of June 7th, 2022. And all this paperwork goes to the Board of Selectmen. That's the process. So
Make a motion to that effect.
make a motion to that, and I'll have Nancy
Okay, Bob.
fill in the
We'll fill in the blanks.
addresses.
Then I'll
Second?
second it.
Okay, Paul's gonna second.
Okay. so
All in
we got
favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion passes.
I've got two things to go over with you guys. I'm really sorry.
That's
Um,
okay.
First of all is, on June 25th of this month, there was going to be a, walk, an audit, what we call an audit walk in downtown area. There is a group on statewide called Desegregate Connecticut that is requesting to use Bethel as an example of proper planning and things of that nature, dealing with affordable housing and dealing with our sidewalks and streets and our TOD plan. So there'll be about, when I have the full flyer, I will let you know. Had several discussions with them, and that is the gist of the walk. It's gonna be on a Saturday, I believe. And also, it's using the art basis for sidewalks and connectivity and lights and pavers and things like that. So there, I said yes, the first selectman will be there and you guys too. I'll keep you more informed of that.
So it's
Second,
June 25th.
June 25th. Second is Monocrete. Monocrete, the court case that was just recently lost by the town of Bethel. In conversations with their attorney and with our attorney, there's been a thought from the property owner to move the crematorium to the rear of the property into the existing building. Now, one thing I will tell you is that this would require multiple layers of regulatory changes. Property owner would request that the town initiate those changes, not the property. There'd have to be a text amendment. There would have to be some kind of revised permit. It would become a very, very complicated matter, legally and strategically. And before we delve, or even we think of delving into that type of an issue, we felt it was important to hear from the commission, because it is very apparent that the property owner would like the commission to initiate these changes. They do not wish to initiate them. And I don't know how you feel about that after going through what you have already gone through with the initial application and public participation.
Beth, can I speak on that?
Your chair.
Okay.
My feelings, and I wasn't there for all of this when it started years ago, is the fact of the matter is they're getting the crematorium, no matter if it's on the hill, on the road, or Trowbridge, or hidden down around the back. In my opinion, if they're willing to jump through some hoops, whether we start the hoops and hold them up or they do, I think it's a win-win for the town. It kind of hides it in the back. And if that's what they want, it's more desirable, in my opinion. It's going to add some time. It's going to add us, open us up to some public ridicule. But again, there's really nothing we can do as a commission, because we're already under court order to allow them to build it. We already gave them an approval. So I'm fine with it.
They have an approval in hand. They have an approval in hand where they can go and start the work tomorrow.
It's not, but correct me if I'm wrong, it's not like we go through all these hoops to change some text amendments and do all the legalese that needs to be done, and then now we can deny it again.
No,
it's extremely complicated, Paul.
Paul, it's a very complicated thing that.
I'm not saying it's not. I know it's adding a lot of work to Beth's pile, and I apologize for that.
No.
It's adding a lot of work to the town.
It's not my pile.
It's not hers.
It's not my work.
Is there an
It's
expense?
your work as a commission.
Sure. This commission went through an awful lot going there. And we now have a Supreme Court decision. And I think that should stand as it is. And that's enough.
And leave it where it is up on the hill.
Right where it is.
I mean,
That's where it's where it's supposed to be. And for us to jump through all the hoops. Again, no, I'm sorry. And for the town to go through it again, I don't think that is acceptable at all.
I respect your opinion. And like I said, I started off by saying I wasn't here. I wasn't here for all of the original.
No. Oh, no, I understand, Paul. I really do. But I'm just telling you, I am one as well. And that is the way I feel.
Yeah. And again, I guess I'm feeling that if we're able to get the town a better deal and hide it in the back, then that's what we should try to do. But again, that's my opinion, and that's why there's
but I do
on the board.
think it is a better deal, to change all the regulations and to do all the text amendments. I don't think it's a better deal for the town. I really don't.
Okay.
But I'm one, so
Say something?
please,
Yeah,
people.
go ahead, Bob.
Okay. Beth, is there an expense to the town for us initiating all this stuff? I'm sure there is.
Yes. I can't do it without our council.
That's one thing. Number two, the Supreme Court approved it in the spot it's in.
Mhm.
Saying we did the right thing. The ones who voted for it at that time.
Mhm.
And if they were willing to move it down there, it'd be a different story. But for us to move it down there, it's kind of saying we didn't put it in the right place the first time.
Yeah.
So I would stick with it, with Kitty on this one. And leave it where it is, because you are gonna, like Paul said, you're gonna get some ridicule, you're gonna get some pushback. And it's a headache. I think none of us, I don't think the McLaughlin's need it. I don't think we need it.
I think they got what they wanted.
Fair enough.
Anyway, Doug,
We don't know.
Linda, do you have any comments you want to make?
Not really.
Okay. So
So, okay, so the answer is
we're leaving
take
it,
your approval.
the
Thank
Supreme
you.
Court has ruled that's where it's going to be.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, public hearing for sunsetting the Schmood,
Okay,
the end of July. Remember, you wanted to eliminate that
right,
regulation
yes,
that was used in Stony Hill?
yes.
And just to correct me, you also wanted to reduce the height in the Route 6 zone from 4 feet, from 4
From
feet.
4 stories to 3 stories.
Yeah.
4 stories to 3 stories, is that correct?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
all right,
yes.
very good. So if somebody would make a motion to schedule that for a public hearing, we can do it on February, July
July 24th,
24th.
4th or 5th. I don't know. I don't have a count. I don't have my phone with me.
Please know, when I look at my phone, I was looking at plans, I'm looking at dates,
I'm sorry.
I'm
July
calculating
26th
things.
is a Tuesday.
July 20th. So we were both wrong.
I'll make-
25th.
Sunday the 24th if you want. but it's the
That's the
26th.
meeting on the 28th.
What? 26.
Okay, 7/26, and the date needs to be adjusted.
Okay,
I'll
somebody want to
adjust-
make a motion?
I'll make a motion to have a public meeting on July 26th.
here.
to set the Schmood, and to adjust the maximum height in the Route 6 zone.
Okay,
Okay, so
that's all I
somebody,
have.
would somebody like to second that, please?
Second.
Thank you. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion passes. Okay,
That's all I have.
so we have,
All right. I'm gonna bow out. I have a 1 week old upstairs crying, and I'm gonna go handle that.
you
Good
want a
night,
kiss
Paul.
for us, Daddy?
Thank you very much.
Have a good night,
Good
guys.
night.
Good night.
Enjoy very much.
Oh, BJ just disappeared.
Oh, she did,
She was there the whole time.
She waited so long.
I know.
Okay.
Where's public?
Looking to adjourn.
Second.
Second,
Second?
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion passes and good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, David.
Good night, Bob.
Good night, Chet.